Hey YouTube, Lawnboys Post 1975 and welcome to my Christmas message for 2024. I know I say this at the start of every one of these videos, but wow, it's been a year already. This is my favourite time of year. You will know that if you watch this series of videos. I say series of videos, is my Christmas message really a series of videos? I guess you could argue it is, but it's been an interesting year for me, or more so the end of this year, because of certain things that have happened, big changes in my life. It feels really properly Christmassy right now. If anyone who's watched my sort of update videos know, I don't have as much time as I used to make videos on this channel, vlogs that is, but there was no way I'm going to miss this one because this is one of my favourite videos that I make year in and year out, and it's definitely a tradition of mine, and I'm pretty sure I have now officially been doing it for 10 years. But yeah, it would not be Christmas if I did not make my Christmas message. But basically 2 weeks into November I started a new job. It's going rather well, I'm not going to lie and say it's completely without stress, but what would a new job be if it wasn't out of stress? This is a new Christmas hat because I lost my new Christmas hat from last year to replace my traditional Christmas hat that I had for 7 years, which was dying. And my god, this ball, or bauble, or what, ooh, that looks awkward, is heavy as. And also, true to form for a Christmas video, the radiator's on, I'm wearing a Christmas jumper. Pretty warm right now, not gonna lie, pretty warm right now. But yes, unlike many recent years where I literally at best, I think the best I got one year was 4 days off, and in order to not work Boxing Day, I always had to do some sort of crafty deal. Last year it involved working Christmas Eve, which is an absolute no-no for me, and I never used to have to work Christmas Eve, but did so to get Boxing Day off. Well, I have just finished for the year. It feels really good to say that. I never thought I'd say that. I finished today, I finished work, it's 12 o'clock. I was with my older brother, so we had a burger from the most expensive van in Avonmouth. It was fantastic, and I was back home by 2, and I do not have to go back to work until the 2nd of January. I was going to say February then, but that feels amazing. I haven't had a Christmas like this, you know, period of time off since I was at school. This is amazing. This is the most I've ever had off, you know, in my adult life for Christmas, and it means that literally from now right through to January, that's it. I'm in a Christmas mood. I'm in a good mood, and my god, am I going to cram in some Christmas TV / and/or films, which, to be fair, I've been doing since the start of November. I've seen every single possible variant I can, that is, unless I've missed some, of A Christmas Carol. I've watched all the DVDs that I have, you know, such as Muppets Christmas Carol, because obviously unless you've got Disney Plus, which I haven't, you cannot watch it anymore. I've watched Scrooge, which is on Amazon, so if you have not seen that this year, it's on Amazon. Get on that. And obviously I've watched, this is really heavy, I've watched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I've got all my traditions going, you know, at the moment. I have my Christmas issue of the Beano there. Yeah, Christmas isn't Christmas without a Christmas issue of the Beano every year, as you know. And I also dig out all the old ones I have upstairs that go right back through to the 70s and read. I have a whole pile separated from my regular Beanos where I can just read Christmas Beanos because it was always a massive part of my childhood. I have a Christmas TV guide, but I left it in the car, even though I don't really watch terrestrial TV. As you know, I did a video on this a few years ago. It just is a thing to look at the Christmas TV guide and hunt out stuff that you will watch. And yes, I still ring it with a big fat chunky marker. Also, can you see my advent calendar? Obviously it's a hot sauce advent calendar because I am only human, Tim. Anyway, points for the quote. But what do I want to talk about this year? And it's funny, I've mentioned this, but never gone into detail of their contents. But this video isn't really about that. But I mean, you know what it's about. It's about Christmas stockings and what a massive part of your childhood they were, or at least mine. And yeah. I mean, if you watch this intro of this video, fun fact, the intro, my Christmas intro for this video, was only ever supposed to be used once, about 10 years ago. So, and people have asked, so if you wonder why it's got very specific books and toys at the end of the video, that was my Christmas gifts for that year. And since it went, and someone obviously wrote me a festive theme tune version of my theme tune, and since it went down so well, and people mentioned it so much, I've used it every year since, hence the fact that it's really low quality. But it would not be my Christmas message without my Christmas intro. But the point is, in that intro you can see that this house usually is decorated with creepy Santas, and a whole bunch of Christmas stockings, because the Christmas stocking is an iconic part of the Christmas image, if you will, the Christmas tradition. It's what Santa puts the presents in for the children when he creeps down the chimney into the fireplace. In case you're wondering why I'm pointing over there, that's where the chimney and the fireplace is, and apart from the fact that it's adorned with baubles and a couple of little drummer men, there are a row of stockings across the front. And the reason I want to talk about this is I've talked to friends, and not all of my friends got stockings as kids. In fact, my parents, who kept the tradition over and started, introducing it to us when we were very young, they got pillowcases as kids, and there was a hangover, I should say, from some of the gifts that they got in their stocking that you might think that kids would not be interested in, that they wanted to put into ours because it was such an important part of their Christmas when they were children. But I'm jumping ahead of myself. So yeah, I have mates who didn't get Christmas stockings, and I also have friends who did and absolutely loved them, and loved them more, than their main gifts, because as kids, it must have been bloody expensive for my parents. We all had Santa sacks, big fat polythene sacks we got from, I want to say, a John Lewis, and I can remember this when we would have been about 5, because we've all got our names written on them in marker pen, and really badly written, like literally could just about write. And for some reason I remember this, I could not write V's when I was a kid. They always just kept coming out as U's, so it says died on mine. But your bigger gifts would go in there, the big things you wanted, the things you pointed out at the back of the club books. And yet, while we love those, our mum and dad, our parents would always still have stockings for us, because I guess part and parcel of their childhood, although it was pillowcase. In fact, I think it was pillowcases for my dad and stockings for my mum, and I guess they wanted to pass that tradition on. And yeah, so I had this conversation with my brothers and my friends, which is, it's weird because, I mean, we tore through them. When you woke up, you tore through your Christmas stocking, and it still to this day amazes me. I mean, obviously as kids, we slept like logs, because I was in one room, in bunk beds. I was on the top, my twin brother was underneath, and then my elder brother, Jason, was at the other end of the hallway in his own room, because, older brother. And they would put a stocking on the bedpost of both the bunk beds for me and my brother Ian, and then one on the end of Jason's bed, and we never woke up. Never ever woke up. And I guess we got stockings round about through to the age of 11, and we did miss them afterwards. But I am all over the tangent. It's my Christmas message, what do you expect? But when I was talking to people about this, it's almost like you ripped through it to get it out of the way. That makes me sound ungrateful. It makes me sound like the world's biggest capitalist, but bear in mind, very young children, I'm sure you all did the same. So you could get to the big bags, your Santa sacks, with the stuff that you specifically wanted and asked Santa for, and later on when you realise, sorry, spoilers, it was your parents. You asked them for, such as in my case, one year I got the Rebel Transport from Star Wars, my twin brother got an AT-AT, my brother Jason got the Millennium Falcon, obviously we were big into Star Wars that year. Then another couple of years, obviously I was big into Transformers, got an Optimus Prime, another year got Soundwave, stuff like this. The bigger toys, obviously these won't fit in stockings, and they were in your Santa sacks, and there was no sort of little knickknacks and things like that in sweets, and smaller gifts, stocking fillers, I guess is the phrase I'm looking for, because that answers his own question, isn't it? Where do you put stocking fillers? You put them in a stocking. So this is where your big gifts were, but this is what you were really, really excited for, and that, you wanted, because you waited, all year, or at least till you wrote your Santa. You wrote your Santa to a letter. You wrote a letter to Santa, or later on just asked your parents, allegedly. And yeah, so you look forward to this. These were the things that you want. These were the things you drooled over every time you saw a Christmas TV advert, particularly the Toys R Us ones, which are still fantastic if you find them on YouTube, and I still love watching them at this time of year. And looking up the old club books, such as Marshall and Ward and Littlewoods, there are PDFs of them or scans of them on the internet. If you want to look them up, it's not difficult to find, and that just makes me feel so Christmassy. This is really heavy, and I'm really hot. But yeah, it was like what I'm trying to say is, I at least, and my brothers and a few of my friends, didn't really start appreciating the efforts that was more so, put into stockings than the big gifts you asked for that were in your Santa sacks. I keep saying that like everyone had a Santa sack. Did you all have Santa sacks? Or were they just wrapped in under the tree? Because quite a lot, 50-50 divide actually for me. Half my friends had Santa sacks, or the equivalents, festive bags and stuff like that, and the other half had them just put straight. Wouldn't be Christmas if it wasn't for an interruption. Yeah, although I got around the one from last year quite well, because you didn't realise that someone walked in and my facial expression hid it perfectly. Go back and watch it now and see if you can spot it when my eyes go. Yeah, and the other 50% had them under the tree. Now, obviously, TV, movies and stuff like that, traditionally presents go under the tree, but definitely stockings are represented in, you know, all the movies and stuff like that on TV, particularly the older ones, because it is one of the oldest sort of images associated with Christmas, you know, way, way, way back. I don't know if I go as far back as say it was introduced with the Christmas Carol, that stockings over the fireplace and stuff like that. And I'm sure some of my mates actually had to go downstairs and get their stockings that were over the fireplace. But the point is, you just ripped through them because you wanted to see what your big presents were, because those are the ones you're really, really waiting for. And as a child, you may not have really appreciated it. And this is the point I want to make, because I definitely appreciate it more as an adult, because I have a pretty decent memory. Thinking, can you at least be in shots? I'm going to creak my neck now. Thank you. Thinking about it as an adult there was such an effort, particularly with 3 boys, to personalise and individualise these stockings to each of their children, us, basically. And yeah, it's almost like I feel that even though I was a kid, I should have been a bit more appreciative of them. It wasn't that I wasn't, but hopefully you understand what I mean. Because I think back and I think about some of the stuff that was in them, and honestly, it just warms my heart. It really does. But also the fact that I can recall that each year they were tailored to something different that I was, you know, interested in, or maybe it was a fad, but you know what I mean. I'll touch upon that in a minute. And as an adult, I'm like, wow, that is amazing effort. That is amazing attention to detail. And like I said, it feels like it was lost on me as a child. Again, I loved it, and I got amazing things in there that became, you know, they were almost complementary to my big gifts, which we'll get onto in a moment. But it was definitely, as an adult, if I could choose between the two things to revisit, you know, or only ever had, you know, access to as a kid. I know that's obviously stupid saying now, but it would be the stockings over the Santa sacks. Definitely the stockings over the big presents. So, obviously, I can remember as far back to like first memories of the other cool thing, by the way. Sorry, before we were born, me and my brother Ian, twins, obviously. That's why we were born at the same time. My mum my mum bought a stocking, and my brother Jason still has this. It was a purple stocking with a white, almost like, I think it was supposed to be like cream from a Yorkshire pudding around the top of the stocking. And what she did was she used that as a template, and then she made 2 additional stockings when we were born a year or so later for us to have. And obviously I can't remember as far back as that, but I can definitely remember Star Wars Christmas stockings. Now, on top of a few bigger than stocking filler gifts, but not big enough to go anywhere else gifts, hopefully that makes sense, that you used to get Satsuma. You might even think, like, I mean, I guess kids don't turn their nose up. We didn't turn our nose up, I'm sorry, I should say, like fruit, like modern kids now, which is, damn it, I want toys. But it was a hangover from their Christmas, you know, as a kid. So we always had like a Satsuma. We always had a bag of chestnuts. I can definitely remember those. And those would have been not divided. Each of us would have had those in our stockings. And then there was little things like a little bag of marbles. And, you know, because again, and obviously you got pound shops now and things like that, you know, Poundland, etc. But where did you get stocking fillers from back then? Don't know. I wasn't buying for stockings. But yeah, little bag of marbles. Definitely always got a bag of chocolate coins, which is why, I mean, obviously chocolate coins now get broken out every year for Christmas, but that's definitely why I, at least, associate chocolate coins with Christmas. And then you get a couple of little mini chocolate bars. I think my dad said a few years ago that when he was a kid, and obviously he was born in 1941, so he grew up, you know, during the tail end years of the war, and he said one of the biggest, most epic thing that if you were lucky you got in you know, his pillowcase was, he remembers Fry's chocolate bars. So maybe that was a throwback to that. Then always get like a little bag of pencils, a little bag of felts, you know, stuff like that, like arts and things like that. Maybe a bag of pin badges. Definitely remember Silly Putty one year. That was obviously designed to be a stocking filler. And then there would be jokes and things like that, because they're definitely designed to be stocking fillers. And I can remember all this, and I can remember waking up, you know, stupidly early, and literally, like I said, stocking first, out the way, then big presents. But yeah, just going like that, pulling it out like that into a little pile on your bed, you know, because you're still under the sheets at this point, pile between your legs. I remember one year I got, because I love cowboys, I got of Billy the Kid. It was only a little book like that. I still have it somewhere, and it's a very brief history of Billy the Kid, which, you know, I love cowboys. Maybe that was a bit too much information about cowboys because, you know, he's a psychotic murderer. But yeah, I remember that. But all these little things, you know, and these were like the main things that we all got, like, you know, arts and crafts, silly putty, things like that, little pots of slime. Remember when slime first came out? And it was a big deal. I think we got mini cheddars and things like that. But also on top of that, my mother had to tailor these stockings to each of our individuals. And so when I mentioned Star Wars, I definitely remember for a few years when Star Wars was a big deal, we got Star Wars figures. And I think I mentioned Darth Vader a few years ago. Star Wars figures rolled up like that, an elastic band, and not wrapped and stuck into your stocking, because that was the point of the stocking. You didn't wrap stuff, or at least my family didn't. Maybe yours did. I'd love to know. I'm pretty sure no one did. Again, that's the point of a stocking, isn't it? Yeah, so I remember getting Star Wars figures. I remember me and my twin brother Ian both definitely got Darth Vader, and Jason, I can remember this, he got Han's Hoth suits. Remember the blue one with the furry bit around the outside? I say that because I might be confusing it with his Bespin suit, which was the blue jacket and the brown pants, if you know what I mean. But yeah, so, and I do remember years later my mum told me that, and that's a stocking filler, but Darth Vader was a very bloody difficult figure to get. I mean, you keep thinking that big Star Wars ships, and particularly Transformers like Optimus Prime, were things that were very hard to get. But, you know, my mum told me, no, Darth Vader, and again, having to get two of them, she said that was unbelievably difficult. So a few years, I remember getting Star Wars figures in. I definitely remember getting Darth Vader. I definitely remember getting the TIE Fighter pilot, because still to this day, and I have my original TIE Fighter pilot, I can remember what he smelled like. He smelled fantastic. He smelled like he popped the lid off a chunky marker. In fact, I'm amazed I didn't grow up addicted to glue, because I used to sniff the shit out of my TIE Fighter pilot. And the funny thing is, the year I pulled them out of my stocking, my gran also gave them to me, not knowing that my mum had got me them. She got me a whole bunch of figures, so I had two of them. So it was literally one for each nostril. I wasn't just high on the Christmas spirit that year. And it was funny because it coincided with me getting, and my twin brother, because he got one from my gran as well, Darth Vader's, you know, advanced TIE Fighter, or what they called it back then, just the Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. And I think my mum put the batteries for it in the stocking, because I do remember that one year, at least for one of the Star Wars toys, which would have been weird because that would have been, yeah, I got batteries. Can you put the batteries in whatever toy it is that has to have batteries put into it? Because I'm a child and I don't understand how such things work. I just know I press the button, that's how the magic happens. So yeah, so we definitely got Star Wars figures one year, and then obviously I was massively into Transformers the next year. My twin brother was as well, but not quite as much as me. So I do remember that my mum managed to get me some of the mini bots. Remember the mini bots? Like you had Cliff Jumper, you had Bumblebee. I think I had Cliff Jumper. I always wanted Bumblebee. Then as a kid you had that, didn't want him, which is something I feel bad about as an adult. Even though I'm like 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever, even as an adult I think, how ungrateful was it? I'm like, oh my God, you know, they worked their ass off and they bought us all these wonderful things for Christmas. And here I am being ungrateful. But yeah, I got Bumblebee. And I got a couple of tapes for Soundwave. That might have been the following year, because I think I got Soundwave that year, which is when I got Bumblebee, and then the following year I got Optimus Prime, which is when I got Soundwave's additional tapes for my stocking. And yeah, so again, year in, year out, you had all these little stocking fillers, these great little things, jokes, arts and crafts, pens, fruit, sweets, you know, bag of chocolate coins and stuff like that. Yet your mum still knew to put something that you were massively into and still, you know, tie it in to your bigger presents. And I just thought that was utterly fantastic, because I remember I was into He-Man massively one year as well. I got the slime pit for Christmas. That stuff was a nightmare to get off your figures. And I remember my brother Ian put Gryzor in there. Yeah. He was never the same. Remember the furry one? Yeah, that slime, not going to swear it's my Christmas video, that slime messed that figure up properly. But so you used to be able to buy like little assortment packs of He-Man's weapons. Again, it was stuff that you had to have a card that was no kind of bigger than that, so you could roll it up, and I do remember it, and the elastic band on it, and shove it in your stocking. I remember slidey puzzles as well. Remember when you had a picture of someone, or you had letters and stuff like that, and you had one space and you had to move stuff around? Definitely got slidey puzzles in my stocking, and definitely got a Rubik's Cube one year, but it would have been the smaller one, and a couple of years later definitely got the spherical Rubik's Cube. But you know what I mean. Rubik's was great for making stocking fillers, and my brother Jason loved it. So for years after that, because he got a bit older, you know, he was older than us, a bit maturer than us, and so he grew out of toys quicker than us. So he was obsessed with Rubik puzzles, and he used to get one every year. And I remember the one that had all the hoops, different colours like that, and a metal piece going around like that through it, and you had to over under like that. I'm not doing it justice, but I'm sure someone remembers it, to try and take it out. Unbelievably difficult. He got that in his stocking. Oh, and little torches and things like that. Excuse me. Festive windy pops. Yeah, always got little things like that, and badges and reflector badges. Remember those? And little holograms. Remember little holograms of some of the stuff you liked. They probably would have been Visionaries or not Transformers, Supernaturals. Who remembers Supernaturals? The kind of other thing that was coming along when Visionaries was coming along, because everything came out in pairs. And then another year or so later, you had all the same little assortments and stuff like that. And I was into Mask. So I think for Christmas that year, I got Piranha and Condor. But you used to be able to buy Mask figures, and they were two blister packs on the same piece of card. So yeah, so it was a double figure pack like that. And I got a couple of Mask figures, and I got Matt Tracker with whatever his mask was when he was in Rhino. I can't remember what one that was. Yeah, what mask was it? God, it wasn't Spectrum, but Spectrum was basically a MacGuffin that could be used to do anything it wanted in every single episode or comic of Mask. Yeah, I got him, and I think he came with, I want to say, Miles Venom. Makes sense, they're both the leaders. So I got that one year. My brother Ian was massively into fishing at this time. So my mum, and we know this since then, so it wasn't like she was just randomly buying stuff from a fishing shop and then just shoving it in his stocking like unwrapped hooks or something like that. But yeah, so she used to go to Veals, which used to be a kind of an independently run. Where are all those shops now? Sad, really. Yeah, independently run family business fishing shop that was on the corner where Witherspoons is now in Bedminster, on the opposite it, I should say. And yeah, and she must have just gone in and just said, my son likes fishing. Where does he fish? He fishes in the Feeder River in Bristol, by the way, next to where my dad used to own garages before we went to Bedminster Road. So we used to go fishing there. So he'd be like, well, take these weights, take this flow, stuff like this. And yeah, so she could drop fishing stuff in to personalise his stocking to him. So again, we had all these little treats, all these little toys, but each year, something that you were into, something that you loved, you know, a theme was present in your stocking. And obviously, like I said, it was easy at the start of Christmas. Sorry, at the start of your, you know, when you were young and that, and you shared the same fads, like, you know, Star Wars and stuff like that, she could double up on the stockings. But then obviously we all went our individual ways when it came to taste and things like that, and what we loved, because I was into Transformers for years. Both the other kids couldn't care. Yeah, and yeah, I just think about that now and just think, my God, that was effort, you know. And I almost like, I did appreciate it. Again, I did appreciate it, but it's now as an adult, I just think, that's amazing. Like, I can so much more appreciate that as an adult, and just like, especially with 3 kids, you know, and I'm buying the big presents. And the other thing was budget computer games, because we had a ZX Spectrum from 1982, and obviously we learned that you could pirate, but obviously before that, and you didn't know that, you could buy games for $1.99 and stuff like that. Definitely remember getting a couple of Mastertronic games in the stocking, as did both my brothers. So the point I want to make about this video is, as a kid, you were all about the big gifts. I am aware that I'm acting like a complete, you know, spoiled capitalist child when I say it like that. But you were about the big gifts. You know, one year I got a mountain bike and stuff like that. Remote control car. The year after the one that didn't work. But as an adult, those Christmas stockings, they were something else. And again, as an adult, I look upon them and just think they were far more Christmassy. You know, and definitely fill me with like warm, fuzzy, nostalgic memories and a Christmas feeling when I think back about them, opening them up first. But yeah, if I could choose between any of those and only keep one forever, as an adult now, it would definitely be the Christmas stockings. I mean, they were the best thing as a kid. I loved them as a kid, but as an adult, I don't just love them. I truly appreciate them. And I wonder if that's the same, you know, for you people out there. But then again, I don't honestly know. Were stockings for everyone? Get it like the start of the video. Did you have some presents under the tree, or did you have a Santa sack? I don't know. But all I know is stockings were amazing. Absolutely fantastic. So, as always, I'd just like to say, I hope you have an absolutely fantastic Christmas. I hope if you're very lucky still, you get a stocking. I mean, let me know if you still get stockings, if that's a tradition you still carry on, or a tradition that you do for your children. That is utterly fantastic. But have an absolutely amazing Christmas. and a brilliant new year. And I'll see you later.